In this tutorial, we'll create a Salesforce developer environment, and we'll configure Workspace ONE Access as the third-party identity provider in Salesforce. This is the first step to providing users with single sign-on access from the Intelligent Hub app or the web portal. In the next video, we'll do the second step, which is to use Workspace ONE Access to add Salesforce as a web app to the Unified App Catalog. We're going to assume that you already have a Workspace ONE Access tenant with administrator access, and that you have the Workspace ONE Access connector installed and synced with your directory service. If not, you can follow the 2 videos about this in the evaluation guide for Workspace ONE Setup. Begin by logging into Workspace ONE Access. Click the user icon to navigate to the Workspace ONE Access console. Click Resources and select Web Apps. Click the Settings button and select SAML Metadata. Under SAML Metadata, there is a link for the identity provider and a link for the service provider. In this case, Workspace ONE Access is going to be the identity provider. So right-click the identity provider link and select Save Link As. It's going to save it as an XML file. You can name the file whatever you want and click Save. You can also use this window to download a signing certificate, and some web apps might require that. But the identity provider metadata includes the signing certificate information, so we won't need to separately download the certificate. And we're not going to do encryption, but the option is there for production environments. And now we'll close this window and open a new browser tab to go to developer.salesforce.com/signup. Fill out the form to get a free Salesforce account. If you already have a Salesforce environment and want to use that instead, you can skip this part and just log into Salesforce. Note that the username must be an email format, and the username needs to match the tenant administrator user account in Workspace ONE Access if you want to have single sign-on access with this account. Click Sign Me Up, and then go to your email and open the email from Salesforce. This email gives you the URL for logging into your new Salesforce environment. Click Verify Account, and then change your password, and you're in. We're going to use the Quick Find box to get to the single sign-on settings. Up at the top, click Edit and select the SAML Enable checkbox. Click Save. Click New from Metadata File in the Federated Single Sign-On section. Click Choose File and select the file that you just downloaded from Workspace ONE Access, and click Open. Then click Create. If you want, you can change the name, and then probably change the API name to match. Make sure the SAML identity type field is set to Assertion contains the user's Salesforce username. This means that Workspace ONE Access is going to send over the user's Salesforce username, and as I mentioned, Salesforce requires this to be an email address. Also make sure the SAML identity location field is set to Identity is in the name identifier element of the subject statement. Also make sure the identity provider single logout URL field is set. It's just like the login URL, except that after the auth part it says logout. Change the single logout request binding setting to HTTP post. Click Save. Now you can scroll down and click Download Metadata, and that will download another XML file. You'll use this file as directed in the next video, which is about adding the Salesforce web app to the Unified App Catalog. Now, if you're using a new Salesforce developer account, you need to add a test user. We'll use the Quick Find box to go to Users. Click New User. This user needs to match a user that you have in Workspace ONE Access so that the user can be mapped from the Access system to the Salesforce system. If you already have a Salesforce environment and it's connected to the same directory service and directories as your Workspace ONE Access system, you won't need to do this part. So just to make sure I'm doing this right, I'll go over to Workspace ONE Access console and look at the user I want to map. I'm going to use Brett Baker, and let me look at his email address because that is what I'm going to send as the username to Salesforce. And then the username gets populated automatically from the email address in Salesforce. We'll change the nickname to match the alias. You can leave the role as none specified, but you need to change the user license. We'll use force.com free, and that automatically adds the corresponding profile, which is important. Scroll down and click Save. The Salesforce system is going to generate a password, but that doesn't really matter since Workspace ONE Access is going to do the authentication. There's one last thing to do in Salesforce. We'll use the quick find box to go to My Domain. Scroll down to the Authentication Configuration section and click Edit. Under Authentication Service, select the checkbox next to the name of your single sign-on service. For this exercise, you can leave the login form checked also. Click Save. Now, if I open a new incognito window and go to log into Salesforce, I see both a regular login form and below it is the link for logging in using Workspace ONE Access. As I mentioned earlier, to add Salesforce to the Workspace ONE catalog, click the link to the next video in the series. For more Workspace ONE technical resources, be sure to visit techzone.omnissa.com.